Welcome back. In our studios now to discuss the events that have rocked Lebanon in the past 2 weeks is Future Movement MP and economist Ghazi Youssef. Welcome, Mr. Youssef.
Thank you.
Yesterday, unheard of, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah called for dialogue without preconditions, something he hadn't done before.
Yeah, his speech had some positive aspects to it. One of them was this call for this dialogue without any preconditions. Although he divided the arms in Lebanon into two parts, one that is still legal against Israel and the other one that ought to be within the control of the government. Nevertheless, his outlook was positive and was built on what had transpired during the day, which was basically the efforts that Mr. Saad Hariri had put in terms of his investing in his relationships that he has with Turkey to try and secure the release of the Lebanese hostages, 11 hostages. And apparently that had a positive aspect to it, and everybody felt it, the population at large.
Right, there was this huge dahi joy.
It was a big dahi joy.
We had never seen.
Even Future TV was in dahi,
Right.
which was forbidden for a period of time. So things were moving along in quite a positive manner. Everybody was expecting that this morning would wake up with the presence of the hostages being released, and flowers would be distributed on the streets, and things will move into a different gear towards solutions.
Yet.
And that did not happen.
And so far, there are conflicting reports as to where they even are, these pilgrims.
Exactly.
So what does this mean, this unknown for Lebanon?
Exactly. There's a very dangerous unknown factor or unknown period, dark period now, that everybody's going through. Let me first state that it is not the fault of the officials in Lebanon to have confirmed yesterday the imminent release of the hostages, because a confirmation was given to Mr. Saad Hariri
by Mr. Ahmed Davutoglu.
By Mr. Oglu himself. Mr. Oglu also confirmed the fact to Mr. Berry, to our foreign minister. Mr. Erdogan called Mr. Mikati, also confirmed the same story. And all of a sudden, these people, the hostages, apparently had crossed the Turkish border, and now they have disappeared. Something has happened.
But we don't know what.
We don't know what. Was it before they crossed over? Did they cross over? They were pulled back into Syria? Nobody knows. So, and I understand that the families are very upset, to say the least. Some of them are threatening to go back on the streets and start fires and barricades and what have you. I wish these things do not happen, and let's wait. But there is somewhere if you allow me, a plot. Maybe it was not meant for the Lebanese to get together.
Speaking of the plot, in the last week, in less than a week, we've basically experienced and witnessed the Sheikh Wahid's death, and then Tariq Jdidi's death, and then the clashes in Hamra, and then Shadi Mawlawi's release,
right.
All culminating to this hope yesterday of maybe there's going to be a unity in the country,
right.
And then...
See, all the four factors you just described, I mean, the four events, whether it was the Mawlawi arrest, the theatrical arrest of Mawlawi, and then the release of Mr. Mawlawi, whether what happened in Tripoli and then in Akkar, the killing of the sheikh, the two sheikhs, the spillover into Beirut.
So do you believe Syria is spilling over into Beirut?
All of that has a common factor, the Syrian regime.
Okay.
And this common factor, apparently, my belief is, or my understanding is, or the plot, if it were to exist, is that the Syrian regime did not like what happened yesterday in Lebanon. People getting together, the leaders of the Lebanese community, politicians, finally are talking towards an aim of solving our basic problems, which is armament in Lebanon. Probably the Syrians did not like that. And all of that transpired because of the imminent release of the 11 hostages. And therefore the hostages that would have their release would have gotten the Lebanese together. All of a sudden it became more problematic, and now it's a mystery
So, Mr. Youssef,
and
I want to
therefore
just make sure.
Yeah.
You're saying basically that external forces do not want to see peace in Lebanon.
Absolutely.
This is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
So it's not only the Syrian regime, the Syrian tensions and the Syrian clashes and violence spilling over, it's not only because of pre-existing tensions here, because we do have pre-existing tensions, it's all of it together with external forces not wanting to see peace come together.
It's the fertile land. Lebanon is a fertile land for these problems. But again, when I talk about the external forces, I'm mainly talking about the Syrian regime that doesn't see that Lebanon ought to regain a settlement whereby we could look towards a better future.
So now the next 24 hours are crucial in what's going to happen here.
They're very crucial, and I believe one should not jump the gun and start blaming left, right, and center. Let's wait to hear the whole truth. Let's wait to hear what had transpired before any action ought to be taken.
And any assumptions are
Exactly.
taken. Let's bring it to the economy. You are an economist. And I had Mr. Jihad Azhour here last year who said that because of the political instability, there would only be 1 or 2% growth, and he was dead on. And this year, now with the even more higher level of instability, what are your expectations for the economy?
I don't want to prophesize. I might not hit the target, but I believe it's not going to be close to 1 or 2%. It will be less than that. First, we see the environment, the mood, the investments in Lebanon have gone down drastically, one. Secondly, what we hear from the government in terms of plan with the new budget proposal that they want to submit is actually a final, let's say, bullet in the head of the private sector. The proposal is to raise taxes during a period of recession, which is, for an economist, is a no-no. I mean, instead of getting people to work, you're telling them, I'm going to take more of your income, although you don't have as much income as you did last year. So they want to raise taxes on two very important sectors that have been the locomotive, the engines of growth for Lebanon. They want to tax the banking sector, increase tax in the banking sector, and they want to tax the real estate sector. Both these sectors are the drivers of our economy. During a recession, instead of allowing them to fulfill their plans that they had on hold, to give them incentives to do so, we're giving them disincentive. And therefore, I do believe that the growth in Lebanon will be less than 1%, maybe zero, maybe negative, due to this infamous, if I should say, economic policy that this government is really thinking of implementing next year or during this year.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Ghazi Youssef.